Let's get right into it. Welcome to the third two a day. I'm your host, as promised, every weekday at 5:30. Michael Bumpus. This is brought to you by Alaska Airlines, our sponsors. They hook us up, they look after us, so we gotta show them some love. Thank you everybody for tuning in again. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys the past 2 days. Let's make it three and let's keep this thing going. The Hawks didn't practice today, but we don't take any days off. We just keep it rolling, baby. So, like we usually do, I'm going to start off with a couple of observations. I got my 3 questions that I hit every day. Let's start off like we usually do. What I saw. Today I didn't see anything. You know why? Because I didn't practice today. But I can tell you what I saw on previous days. And one, let's talk about Greg Olsen, the old man. He's back. He's in Seattle. Played for the Panthers all of his career, has been really productive. And what I've seen out of this guy so far is a guy who is not really fast, but he's shifty and he's witty. He's like a smart fox out there. I'm watching this series Alone on Netflix. Y'all should check it out. And there's this fox that is just tormenting one of these guys who set up camp. And he's just clever. He's witty. That's what I see out of Greg Olsen. He's not going to beat you over the top with his speed, but he's going to stack you. He's going to get inside. He's going to give you some wiggle at the top of your route, and he's going to make you work. Last year, he played in 14 games, 52 receptions, 597 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those stats, he would be the third leading receiver on this team last year behind DK and behind Tyler Lockett. The third receiver last year was Jacob Hollister, who's a guy who started the season on the practice squad and got promoted and came in and produced. You have to think Greg Olsen is going to be a factor as soon as he steps foot on the field. Again, you can talk about him being old. He's this, he's that. When I think about old tight ends, I think about Jason Witten. Jason Witten is still able to get open, and it seems like he's running a 5 40. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Greg Olsen is a tidbit faster than Jason Witten with all the knowledge. I expect this guy to be great in the run game. I expect him to be good in the pass game. And we all know how Russell Wilson loves his tight ends. Before Disley got hurt, he was one of the best tight ends in the league. He was featured. Jacob Hollister steps right in. He does his thing. They don't miss a beat. They don't skip a beat. So when he was at University of Miami, that was his thing coming out. He had great hands, has a good feel for the game. And when you play the game so long at such a high level, you find different ways to get open. You stop relying on your athleticism and start relying on the knowledge that you get. Speaking of Dave Wyman, I've heard that Cody Barton looks good. I mean, he's already in a crowded linebacker room. You got Bobby Wagner. You got KJ Wright. They bring in Jordan Brooks. Bruce Irvin is in that room now. Now, last year, Cody Barton was forced to start 2 games when he really wasn't ready. But you're going to take your lumps with a guy. He wasn't ready, but he learned in those situations. And Dave Wyman says he's looking good. He's looking fast. And that's what you want. When you have a couple years under your belt, when you've been there, when you've done that, when you've had success, when you've had failure, the game starts to slow down for you. Instead of it being at 100 miles an hour, maybe it's around 85 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, and he's adjusting to it. And at that linebacker spot, you got to be able to see your reads, read your keys, and just go. And whenever you hesitate at that linebacker spot, that is a split second that a lineman can get their hands on you, that a receiver can get their hands on you and block you. So if he could play fast and be assignment friendly, he's going to make some plays. Now is where does he fit in? There's a lot of linebackers. Where does he fit in? I think he's going to be a spell guy. You know, a spell guy is when a linebacker's tired, he's tapping his helmet, coach, give me a play. Cody Barton, boom, get in there. Let's see what you got. And he's going to do well on special teams. That's where these defensive players have longevity in the game, is that they're able to play at a high level on special teams. And I think that's where Cody Barton starts. But I also think that you're going to see him on the field. There's going to be times where these guys are going to need a blow. They're going to need to sit out a couple plays. And Cody Barton, if he continues to play fast and read his keys and get to his spots, I think he can be that guy. So what I've heard is that Cody Barton is on his way. Last year he had 23 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 forced fumble. You look at those stats and you say, wow, I'm not impressed. But if you look at the time that he had, he was pretty productive. He didn't get a lot of snaps. Not a lot of snaps for this young man, but he was somewhat productive. So I expect him to build off of that. What I want to see, this is a big one for me. I want to see John Ursua, man. I mean, I'm a receiver. I'm a slot guy. That's what John Ursua is. I think he has Doug Baldwin-like tendencies. I'm not saying he is the next Doug Baldwin. I'm not saying that he's going to be better than Doug Baldwin. I'm saying that I see some things in him that I saw in Doug Baldwin. The first thing I see is creativity off the line. Doug Baldwin seemed like he was dribbling a basketball when he's getting off the line if you're trying to press him. That's what I see out of him. And especially in the slot, you got to be able to work in tight spaces. You're going to be working off of a linebacker. Once you pass that second level, then you're going to work off of the safety. There was a play last year in the preseason. I forget who they were playing, but John Ursua did a great job of attacking the linebacker, gives him a shake, clears him up. Now, the inexperienced guy, which he was inexperienced, but this was an experienced-like play. Once you pass that linebacker, guys are just going, right? Guys forget there's a safety back there lurking, waiting to knock your head off. He didn't do that. He passed that second level and he settled in that gap between the second and third level, the linebacker and the safety. Then he catches the ball. As soon as he catches the ball, he makes a play, makes the guy miss. That's just awareness. We talk about Cody Barton playing faster and having the game slow down. That move right there lets me know that the game isn't too fast for him. But yes, it was preseason. Yes, it was against the 2s and the 3s. But if he doesn't make that move, if he doesn't make that play, what are we saying about him? And then he has a catch late in the season, gets down to the 1 yard line, gave the Seahawks a chance to beat the 49ers, just didn't work out. I want to see more John Ursua. I believe the first or second day of camp, he had a one-handed grab in the end zone. He's had another diving play. No one's really talking about him, but he's flashing. You see him. If the Hawks do not put this guy on the roster, they're going to try to put him through waivers and get him on the practice squad. Somebody's going to pick him up. That's the exact reason why they didn't cut him last year. Why they said, look, we're just going to pay this guy to sit on the sideline and be ready just in case. Because if they were to try to cut this man and get him on the practice squad, somebody else is going to pick him up. All right. So I want to see John Ursua. I might have said that already. I don't think I have. But if I repeat myself with that, it's all good because I'm going to repeat myself again because that's what I want to see. I think John Ursua is a diamond in the rough. And if he gets an opportunity, he's going to compete for some playing time on this team. All right. Let's get to the questions. Okay. First question is from James. Which tight end will end the season with the most receiving yards? That's a tough one. All right. Naturally, you want to say Greg Olsen. Naturally, you want to say the guy who's proven, the guy who had over 500 yards last year and 2 touchdowns, the guy who's been to Pro Bowls, the guy who's been to the Super Bowl. You want to go there, right? That's what your heart tells you. Then you got Will Dissly. Actually, your mind tells you Greg Olsen. Your heart tells you Will Dissly. Why? Because you saw what he can do when he's healthy, and you feel bad for the guy. ACL gone, Achilles gone, and he has such a positive attitude. You want to root for this guy. I talked to Will Dissly. Solid dude. Love the guy. So which one will it be? Don't forget, you still have Jacob Hollister, who was the leading tight end on this team last year. You still have Luke Wilson, Techno Thursdays, the headbanger, the Canadian. You know what he brings to the table. And then you still have Stephen Sullivan from LSU, who was drafted late this year, I believe in the 7th round. So there are some options there. I'm going to say that if Will Dissly can stay healthy, he's going to be the leading tight end. He's going to end up with the most yards this year. Call me crazy. All right. I think Will's going to do it. I think they're going to bounce back and forth. Greg will have his good days. Will Dissly will have his good days. But if they're both healthy, they might be one of the best tight end combos in the league. Is going to have more yards than Greg Olsen when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll see, man. Again, that's my heart pick. My head pick, the safe pick, is going to be Greg Olsen, right? The guy who's been there, the guy who's done that, the guy who is all everything and you can count on. But I just like the potential of Will Dissly. The potential is crazy. It's all about staying healthy at this point, and I think he can do that. So we shall see. All right, next question. Thanks, James. Appreciate that, man. Next question is from Julia. What should receivers be working on outside of camp during this time to get better? Repetition. It's all about catching the football. It's all about, hey, Ben Day 91, yes, Colby Parkinson. When he's healthy, he's going to be in the mix too. But what should tight ends be working on? It's all about catching the football, right? Reps, catch the football over your shoulder, back shoulder, low, high, and then get with your quarterback and get that chemistry down. Now, we all know what's going on, the pandemic. They want guys to social distance or whatnot. But if you want to have a certain level of football being played, these guys got to get together. They got to get out to the field. They got to throw the football. They got to build that chemistry. Russell Wilson has to be able to look at a guy at the top of his route and read his body language and put that ball on a dime. And how do you build that chemistry? It's all about repetition. It's all about learning the receiver's body language, what he likes to do on a post, what he likes to do on the dig. Does he stutter at the top? Does he speed out of that cut? Those little things are what allow Russell Wilson to anticipate these throws, because he's not going to throw when guys are wide open. He's going to throw them open. He's going to throw them to spots. So he has to understand what they're trying to accomplish at the top of their routes. So if I'm a receiver, I'm getting with Russell Wilson. I'm getting with Geno Smith. I'm getting with Anthony Gordon, whoever. Just get out there. Preferably Russell Wilson, because he's going to be the guy, knock on wood. He plays the whole season, never misses a snap. So I'm getting with Russell Wilson, and I'm just catching the football and keeping my endurance up. Receivers are going to run 40 to 60 yards sometimes, a lot of times, and not get the football. All right. If you are a number one receiver in this league, you'll probably get 8 to 9 targets a game. Sometimes you'll have 10 or more targets a game, but on average, 8 to 9 targets, and you'll probably end up with about 5 to 6 catches. So you have to be able to run, and run. Your endurance has to be up, and just building chemistry. All right. That was from Julia. Appreciate that question, Julia. Andy, should Lockett return to returning kicks? Definitely not. He shouldn't have been doing it last year the few times he did. He has reached a point in his career where he needs to be the number one guy. He needs to focus on leading this team in receptions and receiving yards. Him and DK is a heck of a duo, a heck of a combo. You don't want to risk number 16 getting back there and hurting himself. It's not worth it. He's too important. You put young guys back there. You put DJ Dallas back there, who's return kicks. You put Freddie Swain back there. You put Travis Homer back there. You put young guys who are hungry, who don't really have a spot on this team, right? Well, they have a spot. They don't really have a role on this team. You put those guys back there who are fast and who can hit the seams. Tyler Lockett, his returning days are over. I never want to see him return a kick ever again in his NFL career. He's too valuable to this team. He's getting up there in age. He's not old. He's still in his 20s, but he's got some miles on his body. He's suffered an injury already. You want to start preserving your key assets here. Okay, so should Tyler Lockett go back to returning kicks? That is a big heck no. And if I see that, I'm tossing his head. I'm throwing his. I'm ticked off. All right, but I don't think they're going to do that. Pete Carroll and the gang, they're too smart for that. All right, so let's get to your questions. What do we got here? Okay. Let me see. All right. Showing love. Hey, I appreciate all the love, man. I appreciate all the love. What about wide receiver Cody Thompson? Haven't seen much of him yet. I can't even lie. Haven't seen much of Cody Thompson. I know he's a speedster, but haven't seen him. His best bet is to try to make the practice squad. When I was on the team, they cut me. I made the practice squad, and within 3 weeks, I was playing ball. Guys get hurt. Unfortunately, that's the nature of this game. Guys are going to get hurt, so you have to be ready. I think he's one of those guys. I think Aaron Fuller could be one of those guys as well, the receiver out of UW. But if these guys do play, that just means that there's some injuries. So you're hoping that they are on the practice squad, but you're hoping you don't see them in the game, because that means guys are getting hurt. Who's your first fantasy draft choice? Man, if I get Christian McCaffrey, I'm taking it all day. You got to go with McCaffrey, right? 100 catches, you got to go with McCaffrey. Or, 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. You got to go with that. I know that's not a Hawks question, but I'll show you some love right there. Who has been the biggest surprise on defense? This is from Ben Day 91. Who has been the biggest surprise on defense? On offense, he said he's heard is Cody Thompson. On defense, the biggest surprise. There hasn't been too many surprises. I mean, I guess if you count Benson Mayowa as a surprise, I guess. He's a rotational guy. He was a rotational guy with the Raiders, with his other teams. He's expected to be a starter now. I love the way that he's performing. He's performing at a high level. I mentioned Cody Barton earlier. He's playing fast. He's getting acclimated. Not too many surprises. I mean, you expect your linebackers to ball. You got Bobby Wagner. You got KJ. You got Bruce Irvin. You expect your secondary to do well. You got Jamal Adams. Quentin Dunbar is being eased into the situation. So Trey Flowers is still getting his reps there. On the other side you got Shaquille Griffin. Not too many surprises. All right, next question. Let's see what we got. Do you think they will run more of a hurry-up offense? This is from Jeff Harrington, number 5. Jeff Harrington, 5. I love that number. You see that? Number 5 all day. Do I think they'll run more of a hurry-up offense? I don't think they will. I think that they will do what they do. They're going to come out. They're going to run the football. They have 3 good running backs now. You got Rashad Penny when he's healthy. You got Chris Carson, who's rushed for 1,000 yards 2 times, over 2,300 yards in the past 2 years. You got Carlos Hyde, who's coming off his first 1,000-yard season. So, no, I don't think they're going to run hurry-up offense unless they need to, unless it's the end of the quarter, the end of the half. They're down in the fourth. In those type situations, I would love to see it. Every now and then we might, but I'm not going to bank on it. That's just not what they do. I'm assuming, Jeff, that you're one of the let Russ cook people. I'm with you. But how do we let them cook? We just let them make decisions at the line of scrimmage. I don't think they're going to change who they are. I think they're going to come out and run the football early and often. But I think that they will make adjustments earlier. I think that was my thing with the Hawks. They didn't make adjustments quicker. They wait till the end of the third, fourth quarter to say, okay, we got them. Let's do that. I want to see the counter punch earlier than what we've seen so far. Thanks for that one, Jeff. All right, see what we got. Is Olsen fully recovered from his injury? I assume so. He hasn't been on the injury report, hasn't been on the injury list. I'm watching him run around. He's full speed. He's full go. He's participating in every single drill. There's nothing that I'm seeing that makes me believe that he's not 100% and ready to go. That's from Mello. All right, Mello. Appreciate that question, man. Let's get a couple more here. Where we at? Who has been surprised? Already answered that one. Bump, you're my fave. Hey, Jay, I appreciate you. You're my fave. How do we think the O-line, this is from Sawyer Anderson 44. How do you think the O-line will do this year? And thoughts on Hyde's role this season? I think the O-line will be okay. I mean, you're replacing the whole right side, from the center, the right guard, to the right tackle. You got Posick and Finney competing at the center spot. Finney came over from Pittsburgh. He had 13 starts there. He's playing over 50-something games. He's got experience. Right guard, they're experiencing with Damian Lewis. Phil Hayes is there as well. And then that right tackle, you got Shell, who came over from the New York Jets. So that whole right side is going to be brand new. And I would expect them to be a bit better. It's a different combination, but they have some experience at the center spot and at that right tackle spot. We'll see who wins that guard position, whether it be Damian Lewis or Phil Hayes. They don't have much experience, so we'll see. They can't get any worse, though. I mean, Russ has been sacked the most the past 2 years than any other quarterback in the league. And Russ has shown that you put anybody in front of him, he's going to make it work. So I think they'll be okay. If they can be equivalent, just a little better than last year, then you're working with something. And what's Carlos Hyde's role? I think he's going to be the number 2 back. I think it's going to be a great 1-2 combo with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde. I mentioned this on the first day. We did 2 days, but if you have those 2 backs, you don't need Chris Carson to rush for 1,000 yards. If he goes 700, 800, Carlos Hyde goes 700, 800. You throw in Penny, he gets his 500. I mean, that's just a recipe for longevity. You want these guys to be available and ready to go at the end of the season. It's all fine and dandy, week 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. But are you available in the first round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs? And that's what it comes down to. So I think they got to be smart. I think Chris Carson has to adjust the way that he runs a bit. Still want him to be nasty. Still want him to lower the boom. But now get out of balance when you have to. And don't be afraid to tap out. You got Carlos Hyde, 7-year veteran. He's been there. He's done that. He's played in different organizations. He's dependable. So we'll see. All right, one more question. What we got? One more question. Bump, you wish my son so. Hey, dad of 3 kiddos. Who is it? Bump, you wish my son Still, happy first birthday, Still. Go Hawks, man. That's not a question, but we'll show some love here. That's what we do. We show some love. All right, last question. What is the best thing today? The best thing today is that I am here with you guys. All right, every weekday, 5:30. I'm your guy. I'm gonna be here. Shoot me some questions. You know what I mean? Let's try to keep it Hawks questions, but if you want to know something else, I might answer some side questions. All right, but hey, once again, really quick, you know how we do. If you've been here, this is day 3. This is Michael Bumpus, 2-a-days. Every weekday, 5:30. I'm your guy. Brought to you by Alaska Airlines. I appreciate y'all. See you tomorrow, right? All right.